Let's see. So the white walls, I always saw it as a parking lot. The first thing I ever saw there was a parking lot. And we always wondered why those walls were there like that. But I just assumed it was some kind of retaining wall. I didn't really think it was anything. I just thought it was like always been a parking lot.
So Richmond's always been a tobacco town, and in the early 1800s, these lots of what is White Walls, the spot, were a tobacco factory from here all the way down to Canal Street. The buildings were here until the late 70s, I think 77. They tore everything down and made it into a parking lot as it sits now. But you can see some of the brick walls from the factory still left over. Some of the windowsills and chimney stacks are still present. Once they tore this place down, these granite walls were placed here in this sort of position, leaning on this retaining wall to keep back the dirt. But that sort of was the inspiration for the transitions as they were built.
Sometime in '99, someone else put bricks like level against it, and everyone was trying to ride it that way, and the bricks would fall out. And by that point in time, we'd been to FDR a few times, seen what they did with concrete, and we went, let's go for it, let's try it. We had no clue what we were doing. It was the middle of the night, so we would just drive a pickup truck, and we went down to a rope swing that's a few blocks from there. We were getting buckets of sand off the beach to mix with the mortar. Didn't know consistency, didn't have tools, no trowels to smooth it, and just slapping mortar over the bricks. He was like, all right, cool, this is it. And it was a rough start.
It was great. We were riding just a wedge wall that all of a sudden turned into like a transition.
And we get down there and see it. It's like, oh, dude, this is way sick. Like, never seen anything like this before in person. In Virginia at that time, that was a pretty sweet concrete ramp.
Once concrete got added to the bottom, it really made White Walls a spot. There's quarter pipe options, there's transferring from wall to wall. And then it really opened up the possibilities of launching over the fence up top.
The first memorable thing is Rob Tibbs jumping it and making it over the fence. You know, the step up without the fence has got to be 5 or 6 feet, and then the fence another 3 or 4.
Yeah, so you started a quarter block up, and then you just kind of pedal a little bit, and then got your speed going, not too fast so you could still make the turn. And then you just crank as fast as you can across the parking lot.
It's a flat parking lot. He came just cranking down the hill with a hard turn into the parking lot.
And then you just get launched.
And so I saw the video and I was like, whoa, that's here. I want to go to that. I want to check that out.
When Rob did it the first time and did it on the rough side with the fence intact, that was probably like one of the most badass things that you could do there.
After seeing Rob jump the fence for the first time, it turned into, have you gone to the White Walls and tried to jump the fence yet?
The same day that we shot the kink ad was the day that Puck tried it.
Yeah, I was waiting until we got to this point. So I'm like probably 130 pounds and, 15 years old.
Puck was 15, 16 and super hungry like you are then.
Riding like a 40-pound bike. And Rob has been jumping the White Walls now for like a year or two.
And then I think Puck was just like, I got this. And I was like, yeah, you got this.
This is gonna be like my moment of glory, at 15 years old. I'm coming into that shit, hauling ass as fast as I can go, and I hit it, bike starts going up, the back wheel hits, and that transition was like not a transition, it was just like a kink.
And his foot just blows off and he bass plants across it.
My bike is flying over the fucking fence. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna land like on the back of my head. This is crazy. I see my shoe just flying off over on the side.
Because his shoe blows off and he just disappears behind the fence.
I land on my back
And he just goes, "Oh, fuck!"
and I'm just like, oh, fuck.
We had that on a VHS, and we would just sit there and rewind it in our living room and watch it over and over again. I'm surprised that tape even works because of how many times I've just slow-moed it through.
That was probably like one of the gnarliest wrecks I had ever had. But you know, I think my shoes were not tied tightly enough, and maybe they were like some shitty mall vans. Sort of forgot that I had done that and eaten shit so badly in such a dramatic way. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Chad Kagy, hanging out here in Richmond, Virginia. We got Bike Street coming up. Don't leave, it's gonna get way out of hand.
In '99, X-Trials was in town, 4 or 5 blocks from the White Walls. You know, everyone that was big at the time was there, and everyone stayed at the hotel, the Crown Plaza, which is right there and overlooks it.
And everybody stayed at the hotel literally across the street.
They could look out their room window and see the spot.
I believe it was the Sunday after the end of the X-Trials. It ended up just being a giant session.
And I mean, it was heavy. It was just so many people were there.
30, 40 people sessioning, everyone else just kind of watching. It was Volker and Chad Kagy show.
So there were a lot of stories about all the tricks that went down over the fence that day. You heard about this trick or that trick, and maybe someone you might not have heard of jumping it. Then I remember Chad Kagy no-foot can over the fence. That was really cool to see.
The photo that Losey had of Chad Kagy as it was like a centerfold, right? Am I remembering that right? I think that photo alone just like made that spot known throughout BMX forever. It was sick.
And then you hear that like Volker 3'd it in board shorts and a Hawaiian t-shirt.
Everyone was talking about Dave Volker's 360 look back. I mean, it's epic.
Volker doing the look back 360 is the sickest shit ever. Like, that's still one of the coolest things I've ever seen, ever.
The White Walls has always been a bust-free spot for the most part, you know. I think the lot had a private owner, and I'm not sure that he even lived in the state of Virginia at the time. And so unless they complained, the cops weren't gonna bust you there. So we saw that as an opportunity, a big open lot with some DIY features in there. Well, why don't we bring a few extra items, some grind boxes and rails and stuff, and have a jam down there?
But yeah, I mean, there was like jams down there all the time. It's like bringing ramps and bringing shit down there on the weekends because there were no cars.
Nobody got busted, nobody said anything, and it really solidified, you know, for another generation, sort of the next one after those original guys, this is a spot in Richmond, and this is sort of a go-to, cool meet up and ride as much as you want and hang out kind of spot.
There'd be like a jam down there just because like, oh dude, we got somebody coming in from New York and we also got somebody coming in from North Carolina this weekend. We're having a jam at the White Walls because everyone's gonna be there.
Yeah, White Walls has its legendary status in Richmond at this point. It's the original DIY spot, I think, in my eyes at least, in Richmond, and really set the tone for skateboarding and BMX in Richmond to sort of make something out of nothing if it's not there.
The White Walls was really kind of like just the staple spot. Like that was there, it was concrete, it wasn't going anywhere, and everybody that came to town, wanted to go there.
In '99, before we all had cell phones, that's the spot we would meet up at to start our nights to go out riding all night long.
Yeah. I mean, it was a destination. Everybody went down there.
When you were riding downtown, that was like a very central location. If you wanted to meet up with some people and see what was going on, just cruise down to the White Walls. There was going to be some people there without a doubt.
White Walls was Richmond's intro into like doing DIY and people making their own spots with concrete. We made other DIY spots and they were all horrible. And it was, years before we figured it out. And we really just figured it out because Bernie taught us everything. He taught us and we started figuring out how to do it right through him. So yeah, we're at Lost Bowl now, which is my house, which is a larger scale DIY backyard. But yeah, the one ramp in the corner is kind of my homage to the White Walls. It's kind of a steeper flat wall with transition, and it is, in my memory, more what I remember the White Walls feeling like, where it's steeper than they are now.
So here we are, 2024. It's been 25 years strong at White Walls. 1999, Pat and the boys got set it off. Rob Tibbs jumping the fence. We got X trials, we've had jams, magazine coverage, videos, skate, BMX, everything has gone down. It's a spot people still come to town and want to skate and ride. People ask about it constantly. It's probably one of the better known spots here in the heart of downtown Richmond. The city's changed a lot of stuff getting torn down and getting built up around it, but the spot's still here, going strong.